We'll start with an opening prayer. Dwayne, can you lead us, please?
Sure. God our Father, we come to you tonight and we give you thanks for the blessings that you have put into our lives. And we pray that you help our students acquire and understand some of the gifts that you have given us in education, such as wisdom, truth, and knowledge. And help them that they acquire some of this, and as they help them understand, they just don't need that for today, they'll need that in their lives. And we pray for all of those at this time that are in need, that are battling addictions, battling loneliness, incarcerated, in hospitals. And we also pray for all of those that have lost loved ones, those that are mourning. We ask this through your mother, our mother, Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Thank you, Dwayne. We will move on to approval of the agenda. Okay, motion made by Ellen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Terry. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, roll call.
Okay. Terry?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Dr. Wanda?
Yes. Next item is approval of minutes for January 8th, 2024. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? If so, I'll ask for a motion to approve. Motion by Terry, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ellen. Any discussion on the minutes for January 8th? Hearing none, roll call.
Okay. Alan?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Dr. Wanda?
Yes. Next item is approval of minutes for January 29th, 2024. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? And if so, I'll ask for a motion to approve. Okay, motion by Ellen to approve the minutes for January 29th, second by Terry. Any discussion on the minutes?
On the buses today, are you gonna get them within the day, you think?
That's what we were told. They were going to be assigning us chassis this week. As soon as they assign us chassis, we'll put down the down payments. One is approved through the grant, and the other was approved through ESSER.
What chassis you gonna get? You're gonna get the international one?
I believe so. It's the yes,
Heavier duty or?
yep, it's the heavier duty, it's the better chassis. Then as soon as they do that, then they just assemble everything.
Thank you.
Roll call.
So,
Okay. Alan?
yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Dr. Wanda?
Yes. Next item is approval of accounts payable. I'll ask for a motion to approve. Motion by Terry,
I'll second that.
second by Ellen. Any discussion on the accounts payable? Hearing none, roll call.
Okay. Terry?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Dr. Wanda?
Yes. No old business, so we'll move on to new business. One item, permission to change March 11th school board meeting date to March 4th, regular board meeting. So for change from March 11th to March 4th. I'll ask for a motion to approve that request. Motion by Terry,
I'll second that. That's being due,
due
board members
to
are
board
moving on
members,
to
yeah.
Vegas in the next 2024. Or is it?
So Ellen, second discussion. Okay, so yeah, I think there's some board members on travel. Is there, you guys, and Therese, Fatty, and who else?
There's Terry, Alan, Francis, and myself.
Okay, so, okay, so ask for a motion to approve that change in, a date change. Motion by Terry, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Ellen. Any discussion on the changing of the dates? Hearing none, roll call.
And Dr. Wanda will be on travel too as well.
Yes, I'm going to AHAC.
Yep, so,
I'll be in Minneapolis, but I wish I was coming with you guys. Okay, roll call.
Terry,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Dr. Wanda.
Yes. Moving on to reports, first report we have is Tittlemont Community High School Student Council. Are there any student reps here? Earl, are you a student today? Nobody present, so we'll move on to Superintendent, Dr. Shane Martin.
Yes. Board, Dr. Ladisser, Version, Alan, Terry. In your packet, you'll see my report. You guys have probably already read it. I'll summarize the report. We had a lot of good things happen in January. Our retreat was excellent. Got a lot of good discussion out there about some things that'll be hopefully coming forward in the beginning of the new year with our construction. And we'll probably have some more of these discussions. Terry, Wanda, Freshman Academy, and those kinds of things that have been researched and really good school-wide practices. So we're moving forward. And, Dwayne will update everybody on the construction that's coming up. But our hopes is that new building will have a Freshman Academy wing, and we'll really address some of our behaviors that we have, and we'll actually help our freshman body with confidence going into their sophomore
Okay.
year.
So will students be required to take that or no?
Yeah, it'll
Okay,
their whole wing will be located within the new building.
okay,
A lot of good research out there that freshman academies are a good thing for kids, especially those that have a need to be separated for all kinds of various reasons, but the most is to get the confidence and then have the educators there with them and their own academy, and then move on into the high school environment. Levi will be talking to you guys shortly about school-wide positions and hiring, and we will be bringing back that policy faster than the other ones, the hiring policy, because we did have a 90-day scheduled window on that. We'll be happy to get that one on the next docket. The organizational chart was approved. We've met with all of our new personnel underneath that chart that we supervise, and things have been, for the most part, very good with that new organizational structure. Thank you, board. I know Levi's still got to do some work on the salary schedule, using that study that's out there, and then the placement that will come after that with salaries based on the literature that we have. I know 4 days summer school work week is still a hot topic. We have a position coming up that I know Dr. Wander, you wanted to be on that committee, which would be good.
Mhm.
We'll probably be doing that soon, interviewing for the principal job, and that'll be one of the discussion items with the new principal. As far as everything else is concerned, the schools are back to gearing up for their testing, getting everybody aligned. I had a meeting with Mr. Sobel last week on alignment with our 4 or 5 our elementary, middle, and high school, and how we align curriculum, and then how we align our schedules should be honed in a little bit better. And Mr. Sobel was in agreement with that. So we did have some discussions about a possible addendum to our MOU, and then in speaking with Dwayne, keep for the most part as is, And then the addendum would be discussion about extracurriculars and advisorships. So Mr. Sowell was gonna meet with his solicitor and get some information back for a possible addendum on how that looks K-12 and getting our schools in alignment. Claudette has been very busy with getting out a lot of our alignment with curriculum as well. So formatting our reports, elementary, middle, and high school is one area. And then also looking at not only Cognia, SEL, and MTSS, and how that fits in alignment with each school. Now one of the things that I had discussed with Claudia and the Cognia team, Levi and I met with them, was that last week? Yeah. The day off, or the day we had a storm day, we met with the Cognia team, and one of the things we wanted to bring in light was our mission and vision statement. We needed to have everything in line with that when it comes to SEL and TSS and Cognia. We think that there's too much in that strategic planning model that it becomes cumbersome. So we wanted our goals and objectives to be a little bit more chunked down so that it's easier for goal setting to take place. And, you know, when you have too many things on the plate, it gets to be too much. And so we wanted to make our goals more robust, and then everything else fall in line with that. So
What year, I mean, is it for a 5-year plan? Is it
yeah,
like,
this is the first or second year of the 5-year plan.
okay,
Yes.
so you're just gonna make some modifications to it?
Right. There's a lot on there, and I know, like, I was talking to Shanna, and they do a lot at the elementary school as far as their strategic plan, following that model, following their goals and objectives through that model. But in my mind, the district-wide strategic model should be a little bit more mainstream into our vision and mission statement. So those are some things that our cognitive team is going to look at.
Okay.
Other things, the basketball teams are closing up, getting ready to go into regionals. Our girls are sitting 4th, boys are sitting 7th currently. And our first regional game for girls will be on the 19th. It'll be in Minot. So I encourage everybody to come to that. State wrestling will be this weekend. We had 4 qualifiers, 1 girl, 3 boys. And boys regions will start on March 4th. That'll be in Newtown. So a lot of big happenings coming up. The wrestling building is almost, I just took a walk through today. They have a maroon and gold, really nice structure. Waiting on the plumbing to be put in, and then we'll be set. And then that building will be occupied. I don't know how that looks yet. I haven't sat down with the tribe on how that'll look.
You do.
Going into it, I know we'll probably have to sit down and see what
Okay,
as a school, what we want to handle versus the tribe, et cetera. And I know it'll be their building, so we'll be using it, and I just want to know how that'll look coming up.
Did you say that date was, what date? February 19th for
Yep, so next Monday,
that's President's Day
yep, that'll be the
for the
first
girls? For the girls.
for girls.
I know we have basketball games at college that day too.
And if we win, we play the next day.
Okay.
so that's their next game coming up. There's no other games, huh?
Well, let me take that back. They play tonight. They're at South Prairie tonight.
South Prairie,
They're actual.
our boys play here Friday.
And then boys have 2 more region games. One is next Friday, or this Friday at home versus Newtown. The next one is at Dunseith on the 23rd. And then their qualifier starts on March 4th. So a lot going on in the schools. A lot of really good things going on. I know they did PSN. They're doing their Saturday enrichment. Middle school had their Saturday enrichment this past weekend, and so did the elementary. High school will be having theirs this weekend. So there's a lot of activity going on. The ESSER proposals are back in full swing. This building got used all weekend. That's nice to see. Like I was telling the staff, yeah, we got to clean up a lot, but at the same time, a lot of education is being done even on the weekends.
Good.
Good things. So with that, I'll entertain any questions.
And the 14th was that vocational career day
Oh, the one, it's CTE Career Day on the 14th
at the high school.
at the high school.
This week,
Yep, this Wednesday.
So,
isn't there something
is
going on at the college?
Is that in the afternoon or
It starts right away in the morning.
is that be right at the CD?
No, that'll be right in the gymnasium.
Okay.
So like if we wanted to send somebody from the college, we could?
You sure can.
There's tables for them to set
Yeah,
up?
event staff will be setting up tomorrow night,
Okay,
so just get a hold of Brad.
Are there gonna be people from the state here too, or is it just local schools?
I believe it's the whole thing, right?
Yes, as far as last I heard, there was
Yeah, it'd be local schools and all the vocational schools around the state.
I'm sorry, what time did you say, Shane?
I wanna say it starts at 9.
Okay,
Let me check with Brad though.
I'll check with Brad. Cause we'll send somebody.
That's all I have.
Okay, anybody have anything for Shane?
I just had one, I know we talked about, I know, kind of glad that they're showing more culture throughout the schools and the kids are teaching the kids that also. That's a possibility of, I mean, that learning lots of money. We have majority of it spent already, but what if we get some paintings in the high schools? Like Kathy Dixon did at the
Murals and
such murals. and stuff. I think that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Not that doesn't look nice now, but I mean,
Well, it's pretty bare in there.
yeah, because we kind of got beat down that on our last assessment to the high school. That was probably about 6 years ago. That's why every 4 years they go to a different school. They come here and they said, you guys have a nice school and all that, but he said, we don't see much culture.
And that's why, when I brought the idea to the student council in November, it was that we put expectations of students, expectations of staff, expectations of administration, that be put up in the hallways. And it was for that same reason, we don't have enough, the vision, the mission, all of that, everywhere, not just in the little couple of places, it should be everywhere where you're reminded of what you're there for. And so I would love to see more, like here, if you walk down these hallways, we have our tribal flowers and we have the mission statement up. And so like we try to do that as much as possible.
And we have so many talented people that can do that.
And we definitely look into having some of our own people come in and do some painting. That would be great.
Be a good project in the schools out too.
Mhm.
Just something to look into.
Oh, and then I wanted to say one more thing. Levi and I are meeting with Chris Few next week on music. I'm getting something going this year. So yeah, maybe a camp or some, a weekend, so that he starts prepping and so at least have a band for graduation. And so, and then with that, we're possibly talking about a team coming up of musicians, and possibly one or two.
He said 2 people that might be looking for long-term employment.
So we might be able to fill the music void.
That'd be nice, it's strange to go to a game like this.
Oh, very, very.
And band.
And that was one of our conversations too with the college was we need to start, looking at areas where we have a need and the college comes in and helps with that need. And I brought up the music and the arts.
That's all. Anything else?
Charity, anything?
No. I don't think I have anything. Thank you, Dr. Martin. We'll move on to Levi Gorno, HR Director, Assistant Superintendent.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Attached is my February board report for an overview of hiring that's been completed since the last board meeting. Right away at the top, you're gonna see there hasn't been a lot of hiring done currently. We did hire 2 PSN paraprofessionals. We are still going to, PSN Director Terry Dakota is going to evaluate again whether that third position is needed because the speech therapy that we contract, they also hired an additional person. So we might not need the third paraprofessional, but we're gonna need some time to look into that to see how things work. But we have 2 hired right now and their Faith officially started today. Aaron will officially start tomorrow. Okay, and then the next bit of hiring we did was event staff. Mr. Jacob Longi is the next applicant that's in the queue. Event staff runs on a queue. We just go down the line and pending his background check, if everything clears, Mr. Longi will be joining the event staff. And we do have a couple of areas where we need event staff because they get utilized all over the school district and they're filling in for certain positions right now that have been either resigned or vacated or out due to injury or
Where's the funding
sickness.
come from for the event staff?
Originally, it came from Mr. Lattiser. Mr. Lattiser had a set aside. And then prior to that, when we first started, there was the extra funding from, what was that? Extra funding that we had back in 2017.
This contingency from the general fund.
Is it ever going to run out?
Right
Well-
now, I guess what we're using now is it's being paid out of general fund with the transfer at the end of each year or twice per year. I think tomorrow night, the district board will be approving one of the transfers, then it goes into ESSER, where it has been for the last, 4 years now?
It will continue to be paid under ESSER until it's complete, right?
Till that one's complete, and then we go back to, I
High
think
school?
we had, what did we budget? 1 or 200,000?
Yeah.
Was it 180?
Yeah.
I thought when we made the, agreement to, switch to ESSER funding that they would go back to the high school, the funding would come back out of high school.
And it was right around $100,000 to $200,000.
It's actually what we did is we did a split between a high school grant and general fund. Can't really remember the amounts right now, but that's where the split was.
I was just wondering if people would need to worry about, like, if we're hiring people, are they gonna have this staff for a while, or will they be laid off?
Yeah, we generally budget for all of those, and then here, some, like, for instance, right now, we were just discussing, there's a vacancy up at the high school with truancy, and then that's gonna be a full-time advertisement after the school year. But, in the meantime, we're using another vet staff to take on one of the security persons get transferred into there that has some truancy background and experience, and then one of the event staff will take that position. So
We're doing an in-house transfer with somebody who's already been through it, so we don't have to train anybody. And then event staff will step into that personnel's spot to cover for them until the end of the year, and then we'll advertise at the end of the year.
Okay.
So they're used interchangeably like that.
I think
Quite a bit.
it's a tremendous asset to the whole district, and I'm with you, we should, any way that we can keep that, because
Yeah,
it's really convenient while we're having trouble here with this, we need help here. Call Dr. Martin will get you somebody from the event staff, and they're there.
good.
Security.
Like we're doing for that security right now, okay? And while we're talking about that, I will advertise that tomorrow. I was awaiting input on the responsibilities and the vacancy announcement from middle school administration. And I'll reach out to them again tomorrow. Last week was a bad week because there's a lot of travel involved and people were out, so I'll get that advertised tomorrow. That middle school security guard will be open for 10 days. And that's one of the ones that I left off here. And then the other one would be, I'll try to update it by tomorrow, district-wide community engagement director. I still need to meet with Dwayne and Earl on the finances of that. And Shane and I need to get together and specifically lay out what the educational requirements and expectations are gonna be for that position. So those are two that are missing from the board report that's on here. I'll try to update that by tomorrow.
That's what it became, K-8, district-wide.
I think
K through 12. K through 12, they can be involved, but all kinds of, we need it, so.
Anything else? Have any questions for Levi?
Actually, my apologies. The hiring practices. We had brought this up briefly in December because you asked me to reevaluate it for approximately 3 months. And speaking with Dwayne and speaking with everybody, if we don't do anything, it stays as is. I think maybe we should at some point vote to decide what you want to do with that. If you want to have it turned over officially to us, the way things are going, I think the process is much more efficient and it's a lot quicker than it was prior to this. So I think at some point, right now it can just be discussion, but at some point we should definitely look into it more. Okay, high school principal, it has closed since I posted this board report, it closed on Saturday. The in-house advertisement, we had one qualified applicant apply. And we'll be setting up the interviews for that. I would like to do it as soon as tomorrow, based upon the availability of the interview committee and the applicant, to try to get it going as soon as possible. And again, with the objective to be, so that person can start to phase into that role if they do get the job, and start to get a handle on things earlier instead of being thrown in it right at the beginning of the year.
I wouldn't be available Wednesday,
Wednesday?
but other than that, tomorrow, Thursday and Friday,
I'll be on Friday.
I won't be here tomorrow, I have a nice appointment.
Yeah, so you do Thursday. You want to do it next week, or you?
I'm out.
That's right, John, for us this week. Yeah, we'll do it next week.
next week.
Yep, we can set up. What's your availability next week? Anything?
I'm good, I'll be.
So am I.
Okay, we can definitely just.
If I can't make it, then somebody can come in.
Alright. I'll get it squared away tomorrow and I'll email you guys.
Okay,
I did forget to mention that on Wednesday I'll be at Class A basketball meetings, and from there heading down to state wrestling, so I'll be at state wrestling first.
where's that at?
Ned Rose,
Okay.
Excellent.
Ned Rose is
Horrible.
Okay. You don't have anything for, okay, thank you, Levi. Next is business manager Dwayne Petra.
Okay, just to get on this right away before I forget, we have scheduled the architects to make a visit on February 23rd. It's a Friday. They wanted to come back again, but I guess have discussions with administration as well as the school board regarding the plans for the new facility that would house the freshman academy. So keep that in mind. Another item, I believe we went over in the retreat in Devil's Lake, that's in the minutes, but it was suggested, I reiterated at the next meeting, was that our intention for the last couple of years anyways, if not, I think we're almost into our third year, is our goal was to set aside $15 million for the new facility. that will house the freshman academy. And to this point, I would say we are a little bit over $10 million into that reserve. And then in addition to that, and then the funds, of course, are an actually general fund right now. And the goal was to leverage the money using ESSER funds, meaning the ESSER funds create the savings in general fund. And then we also had a goal of $3 million for the preschool programs, which would include Tiny Turtles and also an immersion program. And I believe to this point, we must be right to the point where it's right about 2.2 million. And the thought is by the end of the year, we should be just about there as far as our goals. And then from there, our goal was to have at least $8 million in our interim fund, in general fund. And it's something I watch on I would say a monthly basis, wouldn't you think, Earl? Usually go over that, make sure everything, it's such a large amount of money, we want to make sure it's accurate. And to this point, everything's falling in place. Only downfall of it, of course, is that our hopes is that 15 million or $3 million still gets us the two main facilities we were talking about. We were already told by our architects, which you'll be able to hear from, and their main focus on this trip, of course, is going to be the facility, the larger one, in that they were telling me, as it's designed, they were looking at an amount closer to $20 million. Okay, and they told us that, I think, back in July or so. And the thought was if we had to at that point, we could also issue certificates of indebtedness and borrow an additional $5 million if we had to. But again, in speaking with them the last time, they thought they should reset and make sure that they design something that's going to be appropriate for our needs and that would be cost effective. So that would be those two facilities. In addition, we're in the process of, by the end of the week, we should have a couple of quotes on that will determine whether or not we would need to bid out the construction of a little storage garage that would go in the back of this facility. That could house some of the district equipment as well as this facility skid steer and truck. Keep everything out of the elements in a little heated facility. So we would find that out at the end of this week. And another initiative we were going after was using the ESSER funds directly to construct an outdoor classroom. That would be at the football practice field area, would be resurfaced with artificial turf. And again, we did everything we were supposed to, submitted to DPI, and at this point, they did not approve. So again, it's something we'll further have to discuss with the high school, Dr. Martin, and reevaluate our budgets to see if we could still make that happen. But that's what we essentially have going on with construction. And as far as the budgets go, in particular the high school grant, we again have been monitoring the pupil membership. And again, it's definitely declining, but it's holding steady at this point at right around between 510 to 515 students daily. And we're thinking that there'll probably be another decrease next year, bringing us possibly right around down to 500 or a little bit under 500 students on an average daily membership basis. However, after review of the budget, we still firmly believe that with the in tracking this last year, that we're still sitting in a very good position. There's a pretty good amount of funds in the ISEP contingency carryover. We have some funds available in the general fund area, but it's definitely an area we'll continue to monitor. And one of the other areas that we're still having a struggle with, as I was able to meet within the last couple of weeks with the high school special education director. And the challenge, of course, is spending out the IDEA B money. As we look at what we have at this point, we're still sitting with, as of January 31st, the balances are just absolutely incredible in IDEA B. We still have $1.645 million in there. There's 600,000 in the carryover, and we're thinking that we're likely going to have to make some transfers to get that 600,000 spent out, which would need to be spent out by September 2024. So what we're told we shouldn't do, we basically have to do, which means that we currently spent 373,000 of current money in IDEA B. That will likely be transferred over to the IDEA B carryover just to get the funds spent out. And we anticipate, again, carrying over right about $900,000 this year, which could be more if we get a dump of funds at the end of the year in that area. Otherwise, all of the other areas are in pretty good standing, other than another area of concern, of course, was GT. The GT area, which is limited in its spending, but they have the excess amount of funds in there primarily because of the COVID years. They were not able to hold their programs as normal. However, the funds were awarded to the school. But the good thing is that as they're part of the ISEP area, there isn't a spending deadline for those funds, such as some of these other areas. That would be all I have to report. If there are any questions, I
have a
will
question.
try and answer them.
I have a question for Mr. Becker. On how many IDEA Bs, I mean, you got IDEA B at 1.3 million, now it's down to $1,019,286. 26.79% spent so far. Then you got another idea, you got $646,000 in it.
Yep. Up on top, we have the current year, and at the bottom, we have the carryover. The initial budget and the carryover, last year we carried over $1,286,000. And the people on the BIE side questioned us on that. But again, we went through that review and let them know that it's very, very difficult money to spend. And the final budget going into this year, in the middle of the page, at $1,286,000. So far, we've spent $659,000, and leaving us with that balance of that $626,000. But the one thing we know is by September 30th, 2024, that $626,000 has to be spent out. Then up on top, we have the current allocation, which we had a $62,000 increase that was approved by the board also. And our final current year allocation is the $1,392,000. Now, as we look at that, we've only spent $373,000 of that. So at the rate we're spending, we're going to have at least $900,000, probably more than that is what we're estimating.
So with all those IDEA Bs, there's different amounts that are carried over on each one? Should be
No,
only
we can only carry over what's on top. What's in the middle at the bottom should be spent out by June 30th instead of trying to, scramble and spend it out by September 30th.
On our administrative costs, do you think we're going a little too high on our administrative costs? 'Cause we only You have about 3 months of school left. If that, you've already spent almost 36%. You got almost $500,000 out of your budget for 780,000.
Where a pretty good chunk of that administrative cost will go by the end of the year is also towards food service, and there will be some other transfers that would go into that area. So well, that will get spent out by the end of the year.
And the ones that haven't been spent yet.
Yep,
That's
those,
we talked about, those are hard to spend.
yes,
On those title.
yep, all those title program
They're-
funds, they're very, very
That
specific.
What that rural ed, it's gonna be,
Yep, that rural education, that 6B, we notified the high school of that. That was one of their smaller allocations. From what I was told, they anticipate on spending that out in, I think it was April and May.
what can they use for?
I believe
is
they're
it,
going,
workshops or?
yep, they can use professional development and then also additional student, for example, tutoring after school programs.
Yeah, that was my next question. If you're using tutors, can you use the kids that excel tutor
That I'm not too sure of, but
for a stipend?
the one thing we know of is we no longer have like a lot of tutors as we had a few years ago. I think, what do we have, Levi? It's just a few, I think, left.
And we were just trying to hire for one of those down here, as a matter of fact, this last week. So we're having people do a background check.
Then our tutors, I believe, their starting pay, I wanna say, is maybe 17 an hour.
That's all.
Chair Carey, do you have anything? I don't have any questions. Thank you, Dwayne. Next is the high school principal, Mr. Lattiser. Anybody want to take John's report?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to board reports.
Send that to anybody if they can't make it.
I was sick today.
The principal. Yeah. How come they're not
He can't
signing
find
it?
on being here, he was
Just more.
he should have sent somebody.
Because we've asked that a couple times.
I can, I'll make sure they send somebody.
Okay, board reports. Carrie, do you have anything? No.
No,
I don't have anything either, so we'll see you all tomorrow. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Terry, second by Alan. Meeting adjourned 5:30. Thank you, everybody.